Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Magic. Imagine how a single photo could make the world seem to stop spinning. That's exactly what happened when Jimin appeared with his blonde hair, so perfect, so real, that we felt as if we could sense his presence just by looking at the screen. But behind his gentle smile and the golden glow he radiates, there lies a darker side that's rarely spoken about. Real threats, hidden hatred, and looming shadows that don't come from outsiders, but from within the fandom itself. What is truly happening? Why is Jimin, the one who should be most protected, becoming the target of hate? Let's uncover the truth together. Once again, the world is mesmerized by a new photo of Blonde Jimin, this time in such high quality that every detail looks alive, as if we could feel his presence just by staring at the screen. It's as though time stops for a moment, simply to give space to the light he radiates. His golden hair falls perfectly, framing his face in contrast with his glowing, smooth, almost flawless skin. There's something indescribable at first glance, a mix of gentleness and strength, of human and something beyond human. His faint smile, often appearing unplanned, adds a mysterious yet calming nuance. His gaze, warm, sincere, and deep, seems to hold secrets no words could ever fully explain. There's an eternal allure that makes us wonder, could someone truly be created with so much beauty all at once? Every time Jimin's photo surfaces, there's always a hidden story whispering behind it. There's a softness that can't be imitated, sincerity in his expressions that can't be faked, and an energy that makes anyone feel safe yet captivated. For many, Jimin isn't just an artist or an idol, he is the embodiment of light itself. And yet, it is because of that very light that shadows also appear. And those shadows don't come from outside, not from strangers who don't know him. Ironically, they grow from the very circle that should have been the safest place, the fandom itself. Recently, an issue has resurfaced. Not just a lighthearted gossip or rumor that can be laughed off. This time, the threat is real and terrifying. A threat directed straight at Jimin, the very person who should be most protected. The threat came from someone claiming to be a TaeKooker. They explicitly wrote about their intention to harm Jimin, for one reason only, their hatred towards Jimin's closeness with Jungkook. In their twisted mind, Jimin is the obstacle in the fantasy relationship between Jungkook and Taehyung, a relationship that clearly isn't real, born only from edits, manipulations, and the imagination of a handful of people too deeply consumed by their own fabricated ship. To some, such a threat might sound ridiculous. It's just a small account seeking attention, they say. But for many true fans, this is not something to dismiss. Because this isn't the first time Jimin has faced threats like this. We can look back to the past, to the era of Are You Sure? Filming. Back then, a Japanese fan made the same kind of dangerous statement. The difference? That person wasn't just an anonymous social media account. They were an employee at the restaurant where Jimin and Jungkook dined during filming. Imagine, a person with such a dangerous obsession being that close to them, in a place that was supposed to be safe. That incident should have been a loud alarm for everyone. A clear reminder that threats aren't just empty words but can evolve into something truly terrifying. Yet time passed, attention faded, and now we're back at the same point, new threats emerge, and the fandom is divided. Instead of uniting to condemn the threat, parts of the fandom choose to justify, downplay, or even support it. And when the evidence is undeniable, the same excuse always appears, that's not a real TaeKooker. It's a Jimin fan pretending to ruin our name. This narrative gets repeated, as if it's their go-to card to erase responsibility. But let's be honest. This pattern happens far too often to be called coincidence. Too often to be seen as isolated incidents. Threats against Jimin have become a recurring cycle, and denial is no longer the answer. What hurts more isn't just the threat itself, not just the looming danger. The most devastating part is the silence of those who should care the most, the company. Army has repeatedly asked for stronger protection for Jimin. They demand the respect he deserves. But the response has always been the same. Fans are deemed too dramatic, too exaggerated, or just attention-seeking. When real proof of threats appears, both the company and much of the fandom choose silence. A silence more painful than 1,000 hateful words. A silence that leaves wounds hard to heal. Even worse, large accounts that often claim to be OT7 also remain quiet. They're quick to spotlight issues that align with their agenda, but when Jimin is truly threatened, they disappear. Another bitter reality is that the majority of the BTS fandom on social media today are TaeKookers. As the majority, they have the power to shape the narrative, to decide what's important and what's dismissed. But what do they do with that power? They amplify only the things that benefit themselves. When it comes to Jimin, they pretend not to see, pretend not to know, or even help erase the traces. Here's where the harsh truth is revealed: they don't really love anyone. Not Taehyung, not Jungkook either. If they truly did, they wouldn't constantly insult Jungkook, calling him a coward, weak, or a bad boyfriend. They don't genuinely support Taehyung either. When he releases music and needs support, they rarely show up, unless they can use it to drag Jungkook's name into it. For them, it's all about the ship. A fantasy they created themselves. And in that fantasy, Jimin is always painted as the obstacle. Someone who must be eliminated. That's why hatred towards Jimin has been so consistent. He has never been truly accepted by this group. And that hatred isn't accidental, it's systematic. Yet, in the midst of all this darkness, Jimin continues to shine. He keeps standing tall, giving his best through his music and performances. He smiles, even when we know there may be wounds we cannot see. And true fans never stop supporting him. They know that even with attempts to bring him down, a star never loses its light. In fact, yes, it's true that Jimin recently lost in a voting. Many wondered, was it surprising? Not at all. Since the big scandal, since damaging rumors kept spreading endlessly, it was clear that many votes would be lost. People grew scared, influenced, or deliberately withdrew. It all seems like part of a bigger sabotage. But losing in a vote doesn't erase the fact that Jimin remains the true winner in the hearts of those who sincerely support him. Speaking of awards, many don't know that some major shows like the VMAs or AMAs have clauses that give sponsors the power to determine winners. Even if an artist doesn't get the highest votes, they can still be chosen for the sake of the event. No wonder transparency in such awards is often questioned. This is different from the BBMAs, which rely purely on real data, sales, streaming, and chart performance. They cannot be bought, cannot be negotiated. And this is where Jimin shines. As a K-pop soloist, Jimin achieved the second highest number of BBMA's nominations in history, only behind PSY. He proved that hard work, talent, and dedication are truly recognized on the global stage. Now, he's competing for another new nomination, an extraordinary achievement in such a competitive music industry. So it's clear what the fandom must do: don't get trapped in hate, rumors, or manipulation. Focus on what's real, listen to his songs, stream his videos, buy his albums, share his music with more people. Because in the end, Jimin is not alone. He has us, people who love him not because of fake fantasies, but because of his sincerity, his hard work, and his true light. And as long as we don't stop supporting him, no hatred, no threats, and no indifference can dim his light. That light will continue to shine brighter, piercing through all the dark shadows that try to block it. Jimin is not just an artist. He is light. And that light, no matter how big the shadows try to swallow it, will always find a way to shine. That's why let's show real support, not by getting lost in hate or manipulation, but by listening to his music, spreading his work, and always standing by his side. If you believe that love and sincerity are stronger than hate, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video so that more people know the truth. See you in the next video, and remember, as long as we're here, Jimin's light will never fade.